Then happy Friday, the astro weather for Friday, the 29th of September. This is a big day for energy, so strap in. We start off with one of those 3:50 a.m. aspects, which is the moon in Pisces conjuncting Neptune in Pisces, and we are in our dream space. This whole week has contained a lot of dream space, a lot of delusionary energy, and a lot of feeling quite disenchanted that we haven't achieved the dreamlands that we exist in our imagination. So this energy is quite passive, so you might find waking up, because we do have the moon goes void after this aspect. So waking up Friday morning, we could feel really hypersensitive, really unbalanced. And if you're someone who suffers from anxiety, or you get nervous, you could just wake up feeling that way and not know what it's about. Okay, it's because our intuition is quite unbalanced under these aspects, and it's kind of an energy of solitude in order to, like, take a moment, listen to your favorite songs, do some journaling, and be careful of feeling so anxious that you kind of fall into habits of telling little white lies. Just be truthful, okay? Everybody will be feeling this energy too. So the more that we can stand in our truth, kindly stand in our truth. Don't, conjunctions can make us quite fiery. So just be aware of that. But truth through that anxiety, tell people that you're feeling anxious, tell people that you're feeling nervous, make it known, so that you then kind of shut down your whole ideal of being able to tell those little white lies. So the moon goes void on Friday at 6:57 a.m. and it's void until 10 a.m. So remembering, try not to make any big decisions, try not to do any large or important shopping, because there are things we don't understand, things can be delayed. Now, while that moon is void, we have a couple of aspects that are going to help us come through the void, but it might, depending on where the placements are, it's quite heavy energy to then be pushing onto the moon moving into fiery Aries. So it's kind of a sentimental nature with the moon sextiling Pluto in Capricorn, and it's about trying to find emotional lessons in our darkness. And we are trying to make positive transformations in our mind. So while the moon is void, it is a good place with this sextile to Pluto to kind of look at our taxes, look at our joint finances. Don't make any big decisions, don't finalize anything until the moon is direct in Aries, but it is a good time to be looking over that stuff, specifically if you have been dealing with it in the past and that you haven't started out fresh. But then that quincunx to Lilith, so that's at 9:30, so still in the void moon phase. It's asking if the emotion is ego. So do we use our emotions to manipulate? And it's asking us to have a look in the darkness honestly at that. So again, I'll put up some Lilith videos for how to work through that energy, but just be aware of that during that void moon phase, we are going to be kind of attacking our ego, asking for compromise there in how we see ourselves and how we need to work around using our emotions in manipulative ways in order to get attention, which is that projection of our self-confidence wounds. Then we get a moon in Aries. So we are high energy at this stage. So we are looking, so that is at about 10:30 a.m. on Friday, which will be a nice energy shift after the previous couple of days. And we are high energy. We are confident in our skills now, and we want to be spontaneous, but also responsible. And so with those two things together, we should see some good outcomes on Friday. We'll have like a sharp mind. Any projects that you've wanted to start, a really good day to start those projects, because we'll feel bright and assertive, and we'll be able to tackle the little difficult things that may come up in starting new projects. We've got an aspect with Lilith at 7:11 p.m. Friday night. So this isn't a bad aspect, and having worked on where we might have been manipulative this morning, those ideals coming up, this one kind of really opens up this idea of taboo things being welcomed and not feared. So we are sort of more open to discussing these wounds around our ego and able to understand where they come from and potentially understand why we are manipulative in that space. And we'll be able to start forming new methods of how to deal with those. Then we get the full moon in Aries at 7:57 p.m. So this brings some things to light, and this is the culmination of the last 6 months from when we had that Aries new moon. So if you want to go back 6 months and have a look at the energies and what you were trying to manifest and see if anything's come to fruition, see if any of those manifestations still need work, and really looking at how you've done for the last 6 months. And we will be shining light on things in relation to family and close connections, and it will sort of bring light to the things that still annoy you about those areas, and remembering that when things annoy us about specifically other people, that those are little gateways into our own psyche, and working on things that we may be projecting. So often when we are very annoyed by someone else, we are just kind of looking in the mirror at a wound that we need to heal. So this moon's going to bring some of those things to light, and with the sun making an opposition to it, it's kind of moody and irritated full moon energy. So Friday night, just be aware that people will be feeling quite irritated, and there could be mood swings around, and it will be hard to find a moment of peace inside of your own brain. So everything will feel kind of confusing because Libra and Aries are opposition signs. And so when they come up against each other, it's kind of very unbalanced in our masculine energy and in our feminine energy. How we take action and how we feel are very unbalanced, and things will be confusing. And talking, if you're someone in your feminine energy and you're trying to connect with someone in their masculine energy, it'll just be really hard to decipher where they're feeling, and you'll feel a bit disconnected from your intuition during that full moon. So making decisions like about simple things as well, because our feminine and masculine energy natures are unbalanced. Things like deciding what you want to wear, on what your appearance should be if you're going out Friday night, it could be quite annoying and difficult. So my suggestion is figure that out the day before. Figure that out earlier that day before you get to that aspect, because you could be quite frustrated with it. So then just being careful if you are out Friday night, 10:30 that night, there is an aspect with Uranus that just pushes more into that impulsive reaction, into that rapid explosive mood swing kind of energy, and it will make you feel a little bit jumpy and have very little patience for other people, specifically family members or close connections. So if you are out Friday night, stay away from anything that inhibits your connection to yourself. Any sort of, conscious enhancing substances, probably not a really good idea, because of just the energy around that we will need to be more in control of our emotional reactions already. So dampening them with drugs and alcohol is probably not a good idea. So also be aware that if you are out, you could come up against people who are just not really handling any of those aspects on Friday night. The Aries full moon, with the aspects that it is making, it can be very irritating for everyone, and the way that people project how they are feeling irritated has a lot to do with how much healing and understanding they've got in themselves. So try not to be triggered by somebody's emotional reaction, and trying to remember that they are reacting that way because of themselves and not because of you. So not taking it personally, but still trying to see what your trigger is there to teach you.